Ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to introduce someone who needs no introduction to this town, the mayor of the greenest city in the world, Mayor Gregor Robertson.
Thank you, Chris. Good morning, everyone. Welcome to Vancouver. Welcome to Globe. It's so wonderful to see you all here, be hosting again here in our great city. Welcome again to the unceded territory of the Musqueam, Squamish, and Tsleil-Waututh First Nations. A big thanks to Amanda Nahani for giving us that welcome. Haichko Siem Amanda. It is a great honor to be welcoming the Prime Minister, ministers of cabinet, premiers, many important government dignitaries, as well as entrepreneurs, business leaders, community leaders. We are a great mashup here of the leadership that it's going to take to turn the corner on climate change and greening our planet and growing our economy in the process. Bonjour à toutes et à tous. Il me fait plaisir d'être ici aujourd'hui pour vous accueillir à Vancouver pour Globe 2016. We have an enormous opportunity in this country and around the planet. We see that as the biggest opportunity we have as a city, and that's why our goal is to be the greenest city in the world by 2020. That's why our goal is to be 100% renewable powered in the decades to come. We have a great team here at the city to do that. The Globe team deserves great praise for the work they do, gathering people from around the world, but also reflecting what happens here on the ground in this city. We are a city that is growing faster than any city economically in Canada, at the same time that we have the lowest GHG emissions of any city in North America. So we have completely disrupted that ridiculous myth that you cannot grow the economy without impacting the environment. It's quite the opposite here in Vancouver. Our success is all about being green. We're very proud of our green economy and our leaders here in Vancouver. About 20% of Canada's clean tech companies are based here in Vancouver, and we want to see that grow. We want to be the mecca for the green economy and be drawing jobs and opportunity and concentrating the innovation that's going to be needed to break through and have great success. It's a great honor for me to welcome our Prime Minister here today. C'est un honneur d'accueillir notre Premier ministre et les Premiers ministres du Canada qui sont ici pour faire le travail important de rendre notre pays un chef de la lutte contre le réchauffement climatique. We want to make sure that our cities, our provinces, our country, we're all leaders in fighting climate change and enabling our world to do that. We're so proud that Canada stood united in Paris. We had great success there, I think, being one of the leading countries in the world, pushing for 1.5 and understanding and reflecting that that's the big opportunity we have in our economy here. Our Prime Minister gets that. It's refreshing and inspiring to have a Prime Minister that understands that cities and provinces have a very important and key role to play in making this shift happen. We are very pleased to see that one of the top priorities in these initial months is to have a national strategy on climate change. We look forward to being implementers on the ground in our cities and in local governments across Canada and doing our part with zeal. So, ladies and gentlemen, without further ado, Mr. Prime Minister, let me just say we are very pleased to welcome you, to host you here in your second home in Vancouver. I know that I speak for many of us here in this room that when we say that we are ready and willing to support your work to make Canada a greener and more resilient country and this world a greener and more prosperous place. Ladies and gentlemen, a big, warm West Coast welcome to the Prime Minister of Canada, Justin Trudeau. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Gregor. My friends, thank you so much for inviting me to speak with you this morning. It's great to be here in Vancouver with you at a gathering where I don't need to convince anyone that better is not only possible, but also necessary. This is a group that has been dedicated to the business of doing better since long before green was trendy. And it's no accident that this conference is held in a city that's world-renowned as one of the greenest there is. This actually isn't my first Globe conference. I was last speaking here in early 2006 when I was chair of Katimavik, Canada's then National Youth Service Program. I was also doing graduate studies in environmental geography at McGill at the time, and politics was far from my mind, although I have to admit that I was casting a wary eye on the new government and its new environment minister, who was also here at Globe that year. Her name was Rona Ambrose, and I'm getting to know her a bit better these days. In any case, I spoke to the youth delegates from Leading Change about service, community, and the impact that each and every one of us can and must have in the world around us. I spoke about how the leadership required to save our environment needed to come from active, engaged citizens because no government could fix climate change. And yet now, 10 years later, I'm leading a government committed to fixing climate change. But I wasn't wrong, you know. All the legislative and executive powers in the world won't make a difference unless we all step up together. Political, business, and community leaders, civil society, innovators, and entrepreneurs, interested and informed citizens. And that's what Globe is all about. Au cours des prochains jours, vous entendrez des chefs d'entreprise de tous les secteurs, non seulement les entrepreneurs dans le domaine des technologies propres, mais aussi des PDG de sociétés forestières, énergétiques et ferroviaires. Vous entendrez des maires visionnaires de partout au Canada et du monde entier, et vous entendrez nos premiers ministres des provinces et des territoires, ces premiers ministres qui, pendant trop longtemps, ont dû travailler tout seuls, sans partenaire fédéral. Et je suis certain qu'il y a une chose sur laquelle ils sont tous d'accord. Tous ici conviennent, comme notre gouvernement d'ailleurs, qu'il n'est pas question de choisir entre une économie forte et un environnement sain. Ce n'est même pas un choix. Ce ne l'a jamais été. Le vrai choix, c'est d'ou bien résister au changement ou bien de mener la charge pour ce changement. Pour les Canadiens, mes amis, c'est un choix facile à faire. Nous avons toujours compris que l'avenir appartient à ceux qui osent, qui travaillent fort, qui rêvent grand. Plus que ça, on a bâti un pays sur cette promesse, celle de créer des opportunités pour tous. Ici au Canada, au fil des ans, on a développé les ressources, le système d'éducation et le filet social nécessaire pour offrir à chacun une vraie chance de réussir. Mais aujourd'hui, un nouvel élément s'impose. Garder cette promesse nécessite maintenant la mise sur pied d'une économie plus forte, plus verte et plus durable. Simplement, travailler fort n'est plus assez. Il faut travailler intelligemment, de façon responsable. The world's most advanced economic players already get this. They're already competing in a fast-moving global marketplace that thrives on doing more with less and demands doing the right thing for the planet and for the bottom line. In short, the future is happening now, and Canada needs to be a part of it. Investment in the clean tech sector grew by 16% worldwide in 2014 alone, and it'll be a $2 trillion industry in less than 5 years. Around the world, more than $90 trillion will be poured into infrastructure in the next 15 years. The business of building clean economies has gone mainstream. In Ottawa, 10 years of opportunity were squandered. We failed to capture our share of this new marketplace. We had a government that saw economic growth and environmental health as competing interests, rather than vital components in a single engine of innovation. It's now way past time to get moving. The future is coming at us fast, and I know Canadians are ready for it. We're eager to take our place among the leaders in this new economy. Canadians don't fear the future. We want to play a leading role in shaping it. At the Paris Climate Summit, our government made it clear that we understand how sound climate policy is the engine of economic success, when we joined 19 of the world's leading economies in committing to mission innovation. Under this pledge, we will double our investment for clean energy research over the next 5 years. Retooling Canada's economy for this era of change will require new thinking and innovation everywhere. That's why I'm happy to announce today that Infrastructure Canada will provide $75 million to the Federation of Canadian Municipalities to help our cities and towns in responding to pressing climate challenges. We will also invest more than $50 million to improve climate resilience in design guides and building and infrastructure codes across Canada. Ces investissements fourniront aux architectes de la prochaine génération d'infrastructures les lignes directrices, les normes et les données dont ils ont besoin pour donner à chaque communauté et industrie du Canada la chance de réussir dans le contexte du changement climatique. Ce ne sont que quelques-unes des étapes que nous devrons franchir pour mettre en œuvre le plan ambitieux et équilibré auquel les Canadiens s'attendent afin de protéger notre économie tout en faisant notre part pour l'environnement. We know we begin from the common goal we all share. We want a low-carbon economy that continues to provide good jobs and great opportunities for all Canadians. To get there, we need to make smart, strategic investments in clean growth and new infrastructure. But we must also continue to generate wealth from our abundant natural resources to fund this transition to this low-carbon economy. The choice between pipelines and wind turbines is a false one. We need both to reach our goal. And as we continue to ensure that there is a market for our natural resources, our deepening commitment to a cleaner future will be a valuable advantage. Indeed, the world needs the solutions that we will create to develop traditional resources in a way that is both cleaner and more efficient. To take our place in the front ranks of this new economy, we need to pull together our best minds, and we must address the immediate problems of today's tough economy even as we make smart investments for the long term. That's why it's so encouraging to see that the expertise here today includes not just renewable energy entrepreneurs and clean tech venture capitalists, but also executives from automakers and oil producers and forestry companies. It's great to see so much Canadian leadership on display, from green innovators like Bullfrog Power and Carbon Engineering, to the folks who worked for 20 years to broker the Great Bear Rainforest Agreement. It's also important to acknowledge our partners in Canada's provincial legislatures, several of whom will be speaking here this week. Premiers who have led the push to phase out coal power in Ontario and Alberta and put a price on carbon in Quebec and here in British Columbia. These are politicians of different stripes and different beliefs, but they come together on this issue because the environment ought not to be a partisan issue. I'm looking forward to sitting down with Canada's Indigenous leaders later today. No one has more to teach us about stewardship and resilience than First Peoples do. and their communities, too often overlooked in the economic growth of the last century, must be equal partners in securing our prosperity as we move forward. So yes, Canadians have made some strides already, but we have a lot of work to do to become the global leaders that we ought to be. Last year, for example, was the most successful year ever for renewable energy investment, with almost $350 billion invested worldwide. Nearly half of that was invested in the US and China alone. But instead of growing its green investments, Canada actually reduced them last year. The renewable energy market is booming, from the North Sea coast of Germany to the foothills of the Himalayas. In Finland, 40% of research and development funding goes to the clean tech sector. And Sweden has promised to eliminate fossil fuels entirely from its transportation system in the coming years. This new economy moves faster each year, and we'll have to be at the very top of our game just to keep up. But in the excitement of figuring out how we reach our goal, we must never forget why we're pursuing it in the first place. We need only look north to Canada's vast, vulnerable Arctic to find communities already grappling with the complications of a rapidly changing climate. And so we must show leadership and courage as we tackle climate change. This is the great global project of our time, and I know Canada is ready to take it on. I know we're ready because Canadians have always excelled at overcoming the obstacles of an unforgiving climate. As a country, we've already written a chapter or two in the story of human progress. Now, together we will write another story, a story about how a strong, free, and resilient country, drawing on abundant natural resources and the skills and strengths of an extraordinarily diverse population, became a model of sustainable 21st century economic progress. Pour réaliser ce projet, nous trouverons de nombreux partenaires motivés. Plusieurs sont certainement ici aujourd'hui. Nous les trouverons parmi nos nombreux alliés, anciens et nouveaux. Et nous les trouverons parmi ces gens des populations les plus vulnérables du monde, qui ont trouvé refuge chez nous et qui profitent des opportunités offertes ici. Nous n'agirons pas seuls et, bien entendu, ce serait trop demandé de s'attendre à devenir les meilleurs dans tout, mais nous devons agir plus rapidement que jamais et même faire plus de progrès que les autres pays développés si nous voulons assurer notre prospérité future et devenir des leaders mondiaux. Nous devons faire mieux en matière d'émissions de gaz à effet de serre. Nous devons faire mieux en matière d'efficacité énergétique, de transport non polluant et d'électricité propre. Nous devons faire mieux pour exploiter nos ressources naturelles en réduisant les impacts sur l'environnement et pour les acheminer sur les marchés mondiaux. We must do better. And we will, of course, because in Canada, better is always possible. In fact, when it comes to the transition we're talking about here, better is much more than just possible. Better is necessary. Doing better must become business as usual for us all. Much of the know-how to make this happen is gathered here in this room today. Indeed, many of you have been working hard at it for years. What I want you to understand, most of all, is that you now have a friend and a partner in Ottawa, a real partner. You have a partner that will work with provinces, territories, Indigenous peoples, and cities to grow the economy, reduce emissions, and build 21st century infrastructure. You have a partner to grow cleaner businesses develop clean technologies, and reduce the footprint of our resource sector. You have a partner who understands that stewardship is a Canadian value older than the country itself. A partner who understands that turning the necessities of a tough economy and a challenging climate into economic opportunity has been at the core of being Canadian since long before the time when voyageurs, canoes laden with furs, paddled downstream towards Hudson's Bay trading posts. Climate change is a challenge for the entire planet. But let's never forget that it is also an opportunity for those willing to solve it. We can revitalize our economy, expand the middle class, and demonstrate leadership once again on the world stage. We can do it all at once. All it takes is real collaboration and the right vision, a vision of a brighter future for every Canadian in building a stronger, cleaner economy. We no longer live in a world where the future is vague or distant. The future is here. It's all around us. Canada and Canadians can and will seize this opportunity. Merci beaucoup.
Prime Minister, thank you for those words of vision, of guidance, of leadership. We are so grateful that we have all parliamentarians here to work with all Canadians as we build a greener and more prosperous future. I'm delighted now to welcome to the stage Zaya Tong, who is the host of Daily Planet and has been for many years, making sure that science rocks. Science is cool. Many of you know Zaya from the programs, the many things she's done. When you see her after the show, ask her about the time that she swam with 10,000 belugas. Zaya.
Well, it's a real pleasure for me to be home and to be with you today. And I just want to say, as somebody who's been in science broadcasting for 10 years now, on behalf of everybody who loves science, who loves technology, all of you who love innovation and engineering, thank you for unmuzzling Canada's scientists. Okay, so we're both McGillers, so we're used to tough questions. My first one is a tough one, but it is a scientific one. And today, of course, we know that we need to keep everything under 1.5 degrees Celsius, otherwise it's going to be catastrophic. I want to talk about 1 degree Celsius, because at 1 degree Celsius, where we are today, we're already seeing our ice caps melting. We're already seeing our glaciers receding. We're already seeing epic droughts. We're already seeing flooding. And we're already seeing our ocean that has acidified by 30%. Given that the world scientists are telling us that the number one priority, the first thing that we need to do is to keep the hydrocarbons in the ground, how can we have the Energy East pipeline even on the table?
Well, that's a great question. And the fact is that we all know we need to get beyond fossil fuels. There's no question about that, and indeed, Canada's fossil fuel companies, seeing it coming, are diversifying massively into renewable energies because we know that's where we're going. But we're not there yet. We are simply not there yet. And in the meantime, in the transition, not only do we need to continue to have jobs and growth for the economy, we need to be figuring out how to extract and develop our natural resources, including fossil fuels, in smarter, cleaner, more responsible ways. I mean, 50 years ago, everyone knew there was oil resources in the oil sands in Alberta and Saskatchewan. Nobody knew how to get it to market in any realistic way. It was science and innovation and research that allowed us to actually commercialize our oil resources. We are facing a very similar innovation and science challenge right now of how do we develop those resources in a way that is responsible and sustainable while at the same time moving beyond it very quickly. So quite frankly, we need to get through this transitional phase in a way that's going to lead us, make us leaders in the coming years. But right now, while the world still requires fossil fuel resources, Canada can play a positive role in making sure that we're doing that as responsibly and safely as possible.
I hope responsibly and safely. And I say that because you did mention, of course, that Sweden is going to be able to move to fossil-free transportation soon. And we do know, for example, in Alberta alone, we have to keep in mind that every single day, twice a day, for the last 37 years, there have been oil pipeline leaks. That amounts to 28,666 leaks in that period of time. And this pipeline will be going through waterways. So I just think it's crucial that we do very serious environmental impact assessments.
We have hundreds and hundreds of pipelines across this country carrying all sorts of different things, and we need to make sure that we're getting the reassurance to communities, to Indigenous peoples, to environmentalists and scientists that we're doing it responsibly. It's what Canadians expect of their governments and of their industries, and that's what we're going to be working very hard to deliver.
Now, my next question, and I really didn't think I was going to have to ask this, but I will because it actually involves Donald Trump. And that's because yesterday was Super Tuesday for our friends in America, and you know, it's increasingly looking like he could be the Republican nominee. Now, here's a man who has actually publicly said that global warming is a concept invented by the Chinese. I would like to let you know that as somebody who's Chinese, I wasn't a part of that. The other thing is he has actually said that he will abolish the EPA, the Environmental Protection Agency, should he become commander-in-chief. Considering all the great goodwill, the collaboration that took place at COP21, how much and to what degree could Donald Trump derail the good work that's being done to prevent the increase in climate change should he become president?
Well, one of the first things you learn as a politician is not to answer hypotheticals. I'm going to wait and see the results of the November election before commenting on that.
Okay. I have a long list of American friends who've been asking if they can come to Canada. So,
Cape Breton is lovely, but so is the rest of the country. So.
Absolutely. Okay, so I want to turn our attention here. We have tremendous intellectual capital right here in Canada, especially in this room. And you and I are both science nerds. We love great technology, futuristic technology. We've seen a ton of it. We're seeing solar planes right now. We've seen, for example, the wonderful work that Elon Musk is doing. Those Powerwall batteries are already being installed. 2 Canadian universities are working on Hyperloop prototype designs to get that levitation train going. Right around the corner here in Squamish, our very own David Keith, wonderful carbon engineering. They are developing a prototype where you can suck carbon from the sky, like sky mining, and turn it into carbonate and then hopefully reuse it as a jet fuel. What are some of the technologies that you've seen that really excite you the most?
Right here in Burnaby last year, I went to visit one of the world-leading nuclear fusion laboratories, where fusion is one of those technologies that's always 5 or 10 years off into the future and has been for the past 25 years. But they're getting closer, and it's an example for me of the fact that we have to be world-leading and innovative in so many different directions at the same time, because we don't know what the final solution is going to be. And everywhere I go across the country, whether it's university campuses or factories making solar panels in southwestern Ontario, there are tremendous number of people excited about not just the challenges of climate change, but the opportunities of a world that wants to figure out the kinds of solutions that we're going to need to create sustainable economies that will last the coming centuries. And for me, I'm in a great job where I get to go and visit so many innovative, brilliant people pushing the limits of human knowledge and challenging themselves always to do better. And I'm really excited about our opportunities.
Yeah, me too. So are there any of these big, large-scale mega projects planned? For example, Morocco has Noor 1. It has just activated. This is a solar plant that can basically power 1 million homes. What are we going to be developing here in Canada?
Well, one of the things that I've taken as a perspective is that the government should be listening to scientists, not telling them. And quite frankly, I'm excited about all the brilliant people, many of them here in this room, who are putting forward ambitious and world-changing proposals that I hope to see come to fruition in the coming years. I don't think government should be dictating what single direction we need to go in. I'm glad people are trying different things around the world, and we'll certainly be very attentive to best practices. We have challenges in our northern and remote communities, for example, where we need solutions on getting them off diesel. They want to, we want to, we just need that technology. So there's lots of smaller challenges as well as big challenges that I look forward to chatting with my friends the premiers in the coming days.
Just a couple quick questions as well then, just before we wrap up. I know we're running a little bit behind. I have a question regarding the military, because I know that in the United States, they're the single largest consumer of fossil fuels, 395,000 barrels in a single day. That's more than most countries. In Canada, our military is also the largest consumer of fossil fuels, more than any other federal department. What are your plans to green the military?
Well, actually, it's even bigger than that. We're looking at the government as not just a place that regulates and legislates, but as an employer, as government procurement is massive, and making smarter decisions about how we maintain our rent space, maintain our buildings, look at our automotive and vehicular fleets, being a lot smarter around green procurement and standards that we expect from within government as a business and not just as a government is really, really important in some of the changes we're making.
Wonderful. And then last question, really, this is a tech world kind of question as well, and it's related to Bill Gates. He recently said that he believes that what we need right now is an energy miracle on par with the development of the cell phone or the invention of the internet. I'm just wondering what you think of that statement. Do you think we are poised to present that energy miracle, to test and deploy it, and to send it out to the rest of the world from here in Canada?
Well, I think when people imagine the future, we know that we're going to have a future where energy will be much less polluting and much more efficient and much more accessible to everyone. That's the future we all dream of for this planet. The question is how we get there. And for me, my support for folks like the people in this room who are going to do a much better job of figuring out what that solution is than I will is the best way we can move towards the kinds of innovations that seem miraculous at the time, but in retrospect are just part of humanity's progress towards being better.
Well, I have to say, Prime Minister Trudeau, you are our greatest hope, and thank you for making us proud to be Canadian.
You know what?
Thank you.
I gotta say, people have been laying high expectations on me for a little while now. And let me tell you, the way I look at it is I'm okay with it because my expectations of Canadians are equally, if not higher.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you so much.